Welcome to Life Happens, where Texans come to protect their legacy and prepare for the second half of life. Join your host, attorney Kim Hegwood of Your Legacy Legal Care, and our weekly guest as we navigate the challenges that emerge as life happens. Now here's your host, Kim Hegwood.
Good morning and welcome to Life Happens with me, Kim Hegwood, and our very special guest returning again, thank goodness, is Joy Loverde. And she's a best-selling author of Who Will Take Care of Me When I'm Old. And so I'm super excited to have you back on. And so because we're going to talk about, who will take care of me, what happens to my stuff, planning, downsizing, letting go. And so I enjoy this because when I moved from the first house to the second house, I got rid of a bunch of stuff. When I moved again, I got rid of a bunch of stuff. Then I moved back to the second house, got rid of a bunch more stuff. Now I'm continuing to try to get rid of stuff, and it just accumulates. And
How
so
does that happen?
I don't know. I feel like it multiplies when I sleep. I'm thinking, I'm getting rid of stuff, and there's still stuff here. So,
Yeah.
so let's kind of dig in a little bit. So when people
Okay.
start thinking seriously about, aging, on their
Mhm.
terms and who's going to care for me, often shows up right alongside of what do I do with all my stuff?
Yeah.
So why do you think these two issues are so emotionally connected?
Oh, because we are our stuff, right? Who owns our stuff? Our stuff owns us. You just said, I don't know how it happens, but I accumulate more stuff because we're not done growing. We're not done learning. We're not done thinking about the future. And so we accumulate things because we are ever in search of a better life. This thing that I'm going to buy is going to make my life better and happier. And we love that. And there's no reason why we shouldn't continue to do that. So the emotion is always there, whether you're getting rid of it or whether you're bringing it in. You cherish it in the moment. It's all about our lives, and that's why they're so related. So whose stuff is it? Well, it's truly ours.
Well, that's good. I feel better already about having all my stuff. So, and
Good for you.
so for older adults who want to plan, what are the first steps in building a realistic care plan and then a realistic plan for their belongings, especially if they don't want to leave a bunch of, burden to their children. They don't want to have to, them to have to mess with anything.
Well, that's a loaded question. You got a lot of stuff going on there. So let's talk about the first thing, a care plan. The first thing we need to do is not get sick. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay, there is no guarantee that we are going to end up being a burden to anyone or in someone's care. I know plenty of very, very healthy people who are in their 90s who are living independently. They exercise, they diet, they're doing well. So ideally, we could die in our sleep. Now, my mom did that. And what's really strange about that and great about that is she told me she was going to do that. My mom was one of those people who lived full out, took good care of herself, was socially connected all over the place, and she did indeed do what she said she was going to do. Hopefully that'll be the case for any of us. So the first thing we need to do for our care plan is take good care of ourselves. If something happens and we need care from time to time, if we are aging solo, if we are living alone, then we need to begin to forge relationships right now with the professionals. We can't do that in a crisis. So, do we have relationships with medical people? And then friends. We're going to need our friends. So, that's what I would do. One other thing is there are two advisors that we need to speak with before anything else. One is someone with your knowledge, an elder law attorney. Very important because it's not about what happens when we die. It's what happens if we don't die, right?
Mhm.
There's a whole care plan right there that someone like you helps us put in place. And the other person, of course, is a financial advisor.
Yeah, definitely. So Yeah, we plan. I tell clients, we start planning for long-term care when you're 18, your first documents moving
Yeah.
forward, because you never know. We hope to live to be a long time, but if not, we got you covered, so. And
Yeah.
so you talked about creating the importance of creating a support team for aging. What does a similar team look like when it comes to downsizing, decluttering, or preparing that home for the future?
Well, there's all kinds of options, but don't rely on your friends because they say, "Hey, how can I help?" and then they mysteriously disappear. So the friend thing, well, the good news is we don't even need to rely on our friends because there are a slew of professionals who will help us. There are downsizers, there are senior move managers, there are inventory companies who will begin the process at almost every stage of the way. Just do a Google search or an AI search for "I'm downsizing. What's the first thing I should do?" And say and tell me some companies that are nearby that I could call. So that's one thing.
And so that's always helpful. We keep a list of those people. And
Yeah,
and ironically, one of my realtors has a list of all kinds of things. And so I send a lot of clients to her because she takes care of everything. Selling the
that,
house, fixing it, you know, getting rid of estate sales, all kinds of things. She's phenomenal. She's been doing it for a long time, so she's great.
oh, I'm so glad you said that because as the person on the other side of the table, we need to ask our professionals, do you recommend anyone? Have you vetted others? Can you give me the names of professionals who could help me with this? 9 out of 10 times they say yes.
Yeah. And so yeah, we just find that clients need a lot of different things. So we try to keep good people on the list. And so And families often struggle when clearing a loved one's home after death. I know I did when my grandparents both passed. It's not necessarily just the physical work, but you find guilt, conflict, emotional overwhelm. And so what kind of guidance do you offer to help them navigate those moments with compassion?
Well, this is a grieving process. And when we are at, at the other end of a death and people's belongings, we just need to give ourselves permission to cry at every pencil we pick up and everything that our parents and loved ones owned, because that is part of the process and it's cathartic and it's good and it's just what the reality of the situation is. But I also have another suggestion, and I've been using a tool that has been extremely helpful when I work with clients and friends. It's an app called Inventory Hub app. And what this does is allows, hopefully the person who has all the belongings will initiate and put things in an organized manner and help us understand the importance of what they have. They usually inventory the things that are important to them. When we come along and we have to clear out a house, we could use this document as a guide. Should this, many times the parent could designate this should go to Sally, this should go to the Salvation Army. This helps. So in advance of all this, planning for any of us is use tools that help us get organized when it comes to taking an inventory. And that's I can't even tell you how important that is. It just helps in the grieving process.
And so we had a conversation with my mom, and because we're like, Mom, you have a lot of stuff. We don't need
Hmm.
stuff. We all have our own stuff. So we need you to figure out what you don't use, what you don't need, and let's go on and get rid of it now. Kind of start moving things out. And so
Yeah, yeah,
and because it's mom was accumulating all kind of stuff, and you're like, no, no, no,
of
we don't
course.
want any of it. Let's go ahead
Yeah.
and get rid of stuff.
Could I make a suggestion that might be helpful?
Sure.
Some Sunday afternoon when you're at your mom's house and you're both in a TV watching coffee mode, is you might pick something out in the house. Mom, tell me about that. Where did you get that? What's the history behind that? Why does it mean so much to you? And begin to let them process their stuff with you and get the history. And then because when we say to our parents, what you need to get rid of this stuff, you're really saying you need to get rid of your past. And then we don't have a chance to validate the connection between our parents and their stuff. And it also helps us identify what's important to them, because one little tiny object leads to a story. And it's the most beautiful time you can have with someone you love who's older. And these are memories we take with us for the rest of our lives.
Definitely. And so with my grandparents, my grandmother was a collector of stuff. And in different phases of her life as we were growing up, there were different things she collected. So you could walk through the house and see, her Indian collection. And then there for a while, she was collecting glass stuff. So when, blown glass things. And so you see a whole big shelf full of those, so you could see the different, phases. She collected dolls, just something that dolls that she just liked and, to look at. And, so you could see going through the house, you could see all these different things, that she collected. And so, so it was always interesting, to see all those things. And so, but, from your experience, what items tend to hold the deepest meaning for people? And what items rarely matter as much as we think they will? And how can families use these insights to make better decisions?
Well, just like we were saying, the silliest thing that they absolutely love and will not get rid of are the things that hold meaning to them. And it usually has nothing to do with value. Like my mom had a whole stack of towels that came from the original family home. They were practically falling apart. And one time I remember asking her if I could borrow one of those towels and bring it home. And she said, no, absolutely not. You can never take these away. I want them. I need them. Just don't even ask me ever about the towels because they mean so much to me. So we won't really know. We can't answer that question for our parents, what means something to you, because you'll never know what they're going to say. And it could be something that has absolutely zero value. And so our job, and it's not a job, it's actually a family tradition to begin to know the lives of our parents through the stuff they have accumulated. It's a piece that many people forget to do. It's just not, it's not in the thought process. We're kind of all in a hurry. We got to get this done. I got to go. No, take the time. If you want to have an entertaining moment with your parents, sit down and talk with them about one silly thing is sitting on the coffee table, and they will love you forever.
It's probably one of my mom's cats sitting on the coffee table. So
that too.
They're pretty rotten. So, and but for those listeners who are aging solo or simply want to take control of their future, what mindset shift can help them approach both caregiving, planning, downsizing with less fear and confidence?
In America, we have a mindset of when we grow old, we may be a burden. When we grow old, our stuff may be a burden. When we grow old, it will be a situation that will be unpleasant to me and others around us. And my advice is we need to stop thinking like that and understand that there is a community mindset. We're not the only ones growing old. So is the person sitting next to us. And so the mindset is we're in this together. And if we talk about it like that, instead of saying to each other, listen, I'll take care of you and you take care of me. And, if I'm not here, you're on your own. I don't know what's going to happen. We can grow our network, our informal network of support, because what it comes down to in the end is all of us being surrounded by people who are there because they want to be.
And so definitely. And so you always want those people that want to be there for sure. And so, yeah,
Right.
we've always been a real close family. So, and which is good. And so, but I had conversations with my children about I did not want them taking care of me. I was pretty emphatic about it. I said, no, no, no. You find the nearest place you can put me. I don't want you doing that, So they're like, oh no, we're going to do it. I'm like, no, no.
So
And
how's that going to turn out?
we're going to be fighting. I'll be old and we'll be fighting about it, so for sure, but sometimes it's just one of those things, but,
Yeah.
I've been that caregiver. I've done those things, and I don't want my kids to have to do that for me. And so I was like, no, no, don't do that. So anyway, I'm very excited to get your book. And so if you have one, show the listeners what it looks like so they know when they're, searching for it, because I'm super excited. So
Is it
there you go.
backwards?
Yeah, you can see it. Perfect. I'm super excited to get it. So, Joy, tell our listeners where they can find the book, get more information. How do they find you?
The book is available wherever books are sold. It's internationally distributed. So
Nice.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, you name it, anywhere books are sold. Um, to find me, just go to LinkedIn, and then there it is on the screen, and Facebook, and just Google or put my name in the search engine of Facebook, and I'll pop up. And so just as simple as that. And I would love to connect with people because it's the way we learn, the way we grow.
Most definitely. And so, Joy, it's been a pleasure having you on the show again, and we look forward to having you on again soon.
Thank you so much. This has been fun for me.
All right. Thanks, hon.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Life Happens with Kim Hegwood. Be sure to tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. wherever you listen to your podcasts as we navigate through the challenges that emerge as life happens. The content of this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship or constitute attorney-client privilege, legal, medical, financial, or any other professional advice.